Hello, Kinder Kiddos, and welcome back to another social studies lesson. So last week, if you remember, you watched a video about Pocahontas. So today we are going to continue our talk about Pocahontas. And so our essential question for this lesson is, who was Pocahontas? So I bet a lot of you have seen our Disney movie of Pocahontas, but I bet you didn't realize that she was a real girl. Well, Pocahontas lived a very long time ago in the late 1500s and early 1600s. And she was born in a state called Virginia before it was called Virginia. And she helped what we call the settlers talk to the Native Americans. And now, if you don't know what a settler is somebody who comes from a faraway place to a new land, and they want to create a new country. So in that case, the new country they were trying to create is what we now call the United States. So these English settlers, they came from England, and they landed, they traveled on their boats, and they landed at Plymouth Rock, a place called Plymouth Rock in Virginia. And so Pocahontas, she helped a lot of people talk to her people in Virginia, her Native American people. And so she was a very special lady. So I'm going to read to you from our research companion, which you will recognize from class. And we're going to learn a little bit about Pocahontas before we read our story, the true story of Pocahontas. So let's begin. Pocahontas lived in Virginia long ago. She was the daughter of Chief Powhatan of the Pamunkey people. She met English settlers who came to Jamestown in 1607. So Jamestown, boys and girls, is in Virginia, and that is where Plymouth Rock was, and that is where the English settlers landed. And so she helped the English settlers communicate with her father and all of the Native American people. Pocahontas carried messages between her people and the settlers. So see, there you go. That's what I was talking about. She helped communicate between her people and the English settlers. And as you can see here, we have a picture of what Pocahontas looked like when she went to England in the 1600s. She helped them do things like trade food. She helped them learn how to cooperate. Now, I have a question. Who remembers what cooperate means? And if you remember, we learned that quite a while ago, back when we first started kindergarten. That's right. If you said cooperate means to get along with one another, that is correct. In 1614, Pocahontas married an Englishman named John Rolfe. I think we learned that last week. Who remembers? Good job. So let's take a look. This is a map of the United States today. Let's look. Pocahontas lived right here. She lived right here in this little red state. This red state here. And look. We are all the way over here in California. Whoa, she lived all the way over here. So, now, I want you to think about something. Do you think that she was important? I think so. Now, now it's time to read the true story of Pocahontas. Now, while I'm reading my story, I want you to think about the story you listened to last week. And I want you to think about what you listened to last week and what you're listening to today. And I want you to compare those stories and tell me about, or think about, if they are similar or different or about the same. Okay? Now, let's get started. After you finish the video, you are going to need to return to your Google Classroom to complete your Who Was Pocahontas? Reading Comprehension True or False activity. So let's get started. The True Story of Pocahontas by Lucille Penner and illustrated by Pamela Johnson. Pocahontas is the daughter of the great chief Powhatan. Her name means playful one. Her people are the Powhatans. They live in houses made of saplings and pray to their gods. Pocahontas has a secret name too. It is Little Snow Feather. Ooh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that Pocahontas had a secret name. Did you guys? Her father has many wives and more than 100 children. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of children for one man. Pocahontas is his favorite. She loves to play with her sisters and brothers. So let's take a look at the picture. And there's young Pocahontas playing. When Pocahontas is 10 years old, 3 English ships have appeared. The Powhatans had never seen anything like them. They call the ships the floating islands. What are they doing here? So who was in those ships? Do you guys remember? If you remember what those people were called, can you tell your brothers or your sisters or your family members? Because remember, if we were in class, we would have a think, pair, share about if you remembered who the name of those people. If you remembered, you would be telling your partner right about now what they were called. Men get off the ships, but how strange those men look. They have hair on their faces. The newcomers wear strange clothes. Pocahontas and her friends giggle. They call the strangers coat-wearing people, or, that's right, English settlers. Look, there's the Powhatan people, and there are the English settlers. What differences can you find? Now, do they look the same? Do the Native Americans or the Powhatan people, do they wear the same clothes as the English settlers? No. Do they wear their hair the same as the English settlers? Do the Native Americans have beards like the English settlers? No, that's right. That's why the Native Americans called them the men with hair on their faces, right? Because they've never seen people with hair on their faces. The Englishmen began to chop down trees. They built a fort, a church, and little houses. They call their new town Jamestown. Wow. So the Native Americans have never seen houses like this. So this is something really new for them. So how do you think they felt? How do you think they felt when these new people came to their land? Let's think about that while I continue to read. One man points a big stick. Boom, boom. Smoke and fire shoot out, and a bird falls dead. Is this magic? What is this big stick that they're describing? What do you think it is? Let's look down here in this picture. Look, so there are the houses that the English settlers built. Now look down here. Can everybody see this? What is this guy holding? What is he holding? That's that big stick that the Native Americans were talking about. Oh, there's that poor birdie. What is he holding? Can anybody tell me? Why don't you think, pair, share with a family member or a brother or a sister? Or you can always tell me in a comment section or in your Google Classroom assignment. You can type a comment. Let me know. What is this big stick? What do you think it's called? Some Powhatans trade corn to the strangers. They get pretty glass beads, bells, and little mirrors. Others don't like the strangers, and they shoot arrows at them. Oh, why are they shooting arrows? Do you think they really don't like them, or do you think they're just scared? Personally, I think they're just scared. Soon the Englishmen are afraid to leave their fort. They can't hunt or fish. Their food is almost gone. Oh my gosh, so the Englishmen are now getting scared, right? So they're hiding. They're hiding. So do you think the Englishmen and the Native Americans are both scared and nobody just knows what to do, right? Everybody's scared. I can understand that, right? If strange people come to your land, if you were a Native American and strange people came to your land, would you be scared? Or if you came to a new land and found out that there were strange people there that you didn't know were there, would you be scared? Yeah. Either way. Yeah, I think so. Look, there's the corn. They're trading corn, but then here's the scared Native Americans too, right? Captain John Smith is the leader of the Englishmen. He goes hunting for food, but a Powhatan is his guide. Suddenly, arrows fly through the air. Captain Smith holds his guide in front of him as a shield. That's not very nice. He whips out his pistol, but he stumbles and falls into an icy swamp. There's no escape. The Powhatans pull him down. They rub his freezing legs. Then they take him to the chief. What happens? Do they think he's the bad guy? But I don't think he's a bad guy. A great shout goes up when Captain Smith enters the chief's house. Pocahontas' aunt, Queen Opusoki-Anuski. That's a hard word, even for Miss Turner. But that's okay, because I did my best, and that's all that mattered, right? Right. She brings him water to wash his hands and a great bunch of feathers to dry them. Oh, that was nice of her. She's trying to help. A feast is served. Everyone eats roasted deer meat, bread, corn, and turkey. But Chief Powhatan gives a signal. Men grab Captain Smith, they push him down, and raise their heavy clubs. What do you think is going to happen? Uh-oh. Let's find out. Look, there's their feast. They're eating, and then they grabbed him. Uh-oh. Let's find out. But suddenly, Pocahontas rushes forward. She runs in front of the warriors and throws her arms around Captain Smith's head. The chief cries out and the warriors fall back. Pocahontas has saved the life of Captain John Smith. Oh, that was so nice of her. I'm so glad she did that. Aren't you glad? Now, John Smith and Pocahontas are good friends. She visits him at Jamestown. She helps the hungry English people trade with the Powhatans for corn and meat. Pocahontas races and plays games with the English children. She learns somersaults. It's fun! She turns over and over. Pocahontas wants to talk to her English friends. She uses sign language. When she puts her hand over her heart, it means, I am your friend. Can we all try that? Put your hand over your heart and say, I am your friend. You see, that's what she's saying. When she puts her hand over her heart, it means, I am your friend. But not all the Powhatans are friends with the Englishmen. One day, Captain Smith is in another fight. He captures 7 Powhatans and takes them to Jamestown. Chief Powhatan sends Pocahontas to ask for the men back. Pocahontas has been a good friend to the English people. Without her help, they might have starved. Captain Smith says, I will let them go for your sake. Oh, that's so good. I'm glad he let them go. Aren't you guys? Look, there he says, letting them go. One day, Captain Smith and his men go to visit Chief Powhatan. The chief is not home. While they wait, Pocahontas and her friends sing and dance for them. When the chief returns, Captain Smith tells him that King James has sent him presents. They are waiting in Jamestown. "Bring them here to me," Chief Powhatan says. "I am a king too." King James has sent the chief a copper crown, rings for his fingers, a bright red cloak, a basin and pitcher, and a big bed with a canopy. It is hard work to drag the presents through the woods. The chief puts on the red cloak. He sits on the bed. In return, he gives the Englishman a deerskin cloak, his moccasins, and some baskets of corn. Well, at least he gave them some stuff, right? Later, Captain John Smith goes exploring in his canoe. A spark falls on the gunpowder box he wears around his waist. It burst into flames. Captain Smith is badly burned, and he goes home to England. After Captain Smith leaves, the Englishmen and the Powhatans fight more and more often. Uh-oh. So he was the only one keeping them from fighting, right? Him and Pocahontas. Samuel Argall is the captain of an English ship. He makes a plan to capture Pocahontas that will force her father to make peace. Captain Argall asks his friend Joe Passus to help him. In exchange, he will give Joe Passus a copper kettle. Pocahontas is visiting Joe Passus and his wife. Joe Passus's wife pretends she wants to visit an English ship. Joe Passus says she may go only if Pocahontas goes too. Pocahontas does not want to go, but Joe Passus's wife cries and Pocahontas agrees. Uh-oh. Captain Argall serves them dinner in his cabin. Everyone eats and drinks and smiles. But when the meal is over, the captain says Pocahontas is his prisoner. She is frightened, but she does not cry. Joe Passus and his wife get into the canoe with the copper kettle. They pretend to cry because Pocahontas has been captured. Why are they pretending? Captain Argall sends a message to Chief Powhatan. "We have your daughter. We will not give her back unless you make peace and send us some corn." Oh, they want some food, don't they? Chief Powhatan wants his daughter, but he is very angry at the Englishmen. He doesn't do what they ask. Captain Argall is worried because Pocahontas is so quiet and sad. He tells her she will be treated like a princess. Then he takes her to a house where the people are kind to her. They gave her English clothes to wear and a new leather shoes. She eats with her knife and spoon. She learns to say grace before she eats. Pocahontas becomes Christian and she is given a new name, Rebecca. A young man comes to visit her. His name is John Rolfe and is a tobacco planter. Pocahontas shows him how her people plant tobacco. They talk together. John and Pocahontas like each other very much, and he asks her to marry him. The wedding is in a little church in Jamestown. Their church is decorated with bright wildflowers. She wears a beautiful dress from England. Pocahontas and John have a baby. They name him Thomas. They decide to take him to visit England. Chief Powhatan sends her friend Tomocomo with them. He gives Tomocomo a stick. "Notch the stick," he says. "Each time you see an Englishman, I want to know how many there are." When the boat lands, Tomocomo sees thousands of people. He throws away the stick. "There are too many people to count." Where is the sky? Where are the trees? At home, Pocahontas could see for miles, but here the air is dark and smoky. The streets are full of tall stones and houses. It's hard to find a way between them. People ride around in little houses on wheels. Pocahontas is glad to ride too. The hard cobblestones hurt her feet. At home she could walk miles on soft green earth. She looks out and there is so much to see. Workmen pull carts loaded with wood and bricks. Women are selling cakes, flowers, and even fish. Captain John Smith comes to visit her. She has not seen him for 8 years, and they talk and talk. Pocahontas goes to many parties, and the women dress in silk and satin. Men wear tall hats with curling feathers. They think all Indians are savages, but Pocahontas acts like a princess. She smiles and speaks softly. She stands very straight. How pretty she is! Soon everyone wants to meet Pocahontas. They call her the Indian princess, and she is even introduced to Queen Anne. Pocahontas stayed in England for the rest of her life, but the people of America will always remember her. Well, boys and girls, that's the end of our story. I hope you enjoyed the rest of our social studies lesson. Now it is time to go to your Google Classroom and complete our activity on Pocahontas. It is time to turn off this video, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.